All right.
Hey,
Hello.
hey.
Hey, everybody. Come on in here.
Come on in here.
Share, and share alike
We are live tonight.
as we start off Dating God's Way,
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
our next episode.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Just on my feed now.
Yeah.
I'm sharing. Hey, guys. Thanks for joining. Good to see you. Thanks for coming on tonight.
I want to say welcome to the YouTube viewers tonight.
Yeah.
Welcome, YouTubers, and welcome, Facebookers, our loyal Facebook following.
Hey, everybody.
Everybody,
Another
Yvette.
lovely night. Glad you guys could join.
Yeah. Yes. We are on YouTube, so we can chat on YouTube if you're on YouTube. I'm looking at the questions or any comments that you may have. I'm following YouTube tonight. Pastor Eve will be following our Facebook live stream. So um,
Hey,
many,
everybody.
many ways to interact with us tonight
Yeah.
on Dating God's Way.
Wherever you are. We're
Wherever you are.
watching. So yes, thanks for joining tonight. We have
Yeah.
a hot topic tonight. Pastor Will.
You have a hot topic, and I might got some things to say about some things else, but we'll see how the Lord
Oh,
leads and how I feel. Brother
ooh.
Chip, what's up? What's up? What's
Hey,
up? What's
hey,
up?
hey. Hey, I got
Hey,
a funny story that I want to start tonight off with whenever we're ready, though.
okay.
Really funny. I think it's gonna be funny.
All right, okay.
Woo.
Yeah. So look, but check this out, right?
Yeah.
Tonight, um, tonight, I just want to thank the people of Vision, Vision Impact Center, and the
Yes.
launch of Vision Hybrid Learning Center.
Woo.
Yeah, yeah.
So much. Yes.
Thank you all. Yes,
That's a good vision.
it has been a whole church effort, and whether you're there every day or not, that the effort that you have put into it, it is birthing. The seed is birthing, or the seed is coming alive. That's the seed is birthing. The seed don't birth, but the seed is coming alive. But yeah, hey Kishana, whoop whoop,
Right?
Yvette.
Woo.
Yeah, and so I said all that to say is that I'm just excited about this week. This week has been just a really excited week, and it's a tiring week because I'm very tired. Very tired.
Got working double time the last couple of weeks.
Yes,
Good
yes.
jobs, yes.
But I'm excited about dating God's way tonight. I'm
Tonight,
excited about dating
guys,
God's way. It's going to be an incredible night, Pastor E. What you think?
I think it's going to be an incredible night, incredible conversation. Yes, I think it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. So, I'm not dateable. So, Pastor E, you said you wanted to start off with a little story.
Yes. So look, the funny thing that I thought about, you guys, really, the funny thing that I thought about was there used to be this commercial that came on the radio. Pastor Will, do you remember this? There used to be this commercial that came on the radio on the Christian stations, and
Okay.
they would say, if you still living with your mother, if you still don't have a car, you not eligible. Okay, I don't know if anybody said if
Lord,
anybody heard that before.
you gonna get me in trouble. Somebody go to that person's church on this thing right
Well,
now.
hello guys. I'm glad you guys are here. But it was a sermon that was hilarious about, are you eligible to be dating someone? And I actually thought about that tonight as we get into this topic about this woman who was preaching, and she was like, "You not eligible. If you living in your mother basement, you not eligible." And so anyway, I thought thought about that
Hey,
tonight. as we start this. Oh, daughter, Dr.
Karen is up. Dada.
Yes.
Oh, no, my goodness.
Oh, list. Hey, Elder Monica. It was a whole list of reasons why this pastor was telling you were not eligible to be dating, to be in a relationship, to be getting married. So as we get into this topic tonight, that's what came to mind, Pastor Will. What is the eligibility criteria?
Ouch.
What am I dateable? What is the eligibility criteria? What is the requirement?
Am I dateable?
Am I dateable?
Am I dateable? Wow. Okay. Wow. Well, I mean, based on that criteria, I don't think you should date me right now. I don't think I'm eligible for that. Even though I'm the husband, I don't know if I'm dateable as the husband right now. I don't know. I'm not sure.
So wild. It's been wild tonight. Oh yeah, this is definitely gonna be something else tonight. That's correct. This is gonna be something else tonight. Listen, in reality, some of those characteristics that was spoken about in the terms of eligibility, in reality, as Pastor Willie is jokingly stating, following some of that list, we wouldn't have got married.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, true.
In reality, you were still living with your parents when we got engaged and when we got married.
Yeah, I was totally undateable. I was ineligible.
Were you really?
Was I really? Let's get into it. Well, let's not get into it. Let's not talk about me tonight. We're gonna talk about
you a little bit because
it's
gonna make our point though.
Let's talk about them. Let's talk about them and they. I don't want to talk about me tonight.
Okay. I'll them and they. So this is it. Some of the criterion, that is spoken of in terms of eligibility and it relates to dating, a lot of times has to do with things that are materialistic or things that are on the outside, right? When people think about if someone is dateable, the things that they're thinking about is, and some of these things are important, right? Like, is this person independent? Are they able to take care of themselves? Would they be able to take care of you? All of these things are things to think about. That's right. I think all of those things are things to think about. But are those the things that determine eligibility? Yeah, I want to give a great pause here because I think in the world, those are eligibility standards. But now we're talking about the kingdom. Now we're talking about dating God's way. Are those the standards and the measurements of what we should be looking at as believers? Are we using those same measuring standards when we think about eligibility in dating?
Whew. People saying wow, LOL. I'm breathing hard.
Should the criteria be the same, Pastor?
Should the criteria be the same? I think you have to have some criteria.
Sure.
Because if you don't have any criteria, hey, Brother Quincy, what's up, Brother Quincy?
Hey, Brother Quincy.
I think you have to have some criteria because if you don't have any criteria, any or everything is going to fall through the cracks.
Sure.
Right? Sure. And I think your criteria yesterday can change today. And it would change again tomorrow. Right? And so I think we have to question, where are we sourcing our criteria from?
That's it.
Where are we sourcing the levels of eligibility from? What are we as I said before, are we sourcing it from different movies that we saw and feel like, oh, that sounds good, or are we sourcing it from Steve Harvey or Kevin Hart or whoever else, that, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, but I am kind of saying that in a bad way because they drive culture.
Correct.
These guys drive, they are pop culture. And so are we getting our eligibility requirements from pop culture?
Yes. The question is, are we getting it from pop culture or are we getting it from the Bible? Because Elder Monica's asking a question, some criteria, but based on biblical principles, right? And I think that that's where we maybe sometimes get the game twisted up, because a lot of the eligibility requirements that we heard, for example, on that commercial, a lot of the eligibility requirements was some cultural things that then brought the Bible into it. But shouldn't it really be the other way around? Shouldn't our eligibility be determined by the Bible, by the word of God, and then that determines what the standard is, right? And then we bring the kingdom's culture or God's culture into it, not us bringing the Bible into culture.
Yeah. I mean, but isn't that typically how we go into things, is that we try to shape the Bible to meet our cultural needs for the day, other than evolving our culture around having a biblical culture. I'll say that.
Yes, have a biblical culture and a biblical standard, right?
Yeah.
So if the criteria, in reality, if the criteria was the criteria that I was hearing at that time, me and Pastor Willie would have never gotten married. Yeah. That is true. We would have never gotten married if the criteria was just that worldly criteria that's laid out of, he has to be this, he has to be that, he can't live with his mom, he can't do this, he can't do that, she can't do this, she can't do that. If that is the checklist, then it may be that we're missing out on something that God would have us to have. True. Okay. And so as Cantrell is saying, that worldly criteria, definitely it does change.
For
it
sure,
changes.
For sure.
Every time that pop culture changes, worldly criteria changes, but spiritual criteria does not change. Right? Those spiritual criteria that we look to, it doesn't change. It remains the same because the word of God remains the same.
Yeah.
So am I dateable? I think in answering this question, we first got to break down, Pastor Will, some of that worldly criteria.
Okay. What's the worldly criteria?
We have to get rid of some of that worldly criteria. So for example, every single, and I'm gonna get in trouble for this one, especially with some of our regulars that I'm gonna get in trouble with this. But every single, okay, here we go. Every single man is not gonna make 100,000 or more.
Okay.
Here we are, Pastor Will.
Here we are.
Right? And so if your criteria is, right, that you have somebody already like, that's sad. See what I'm saying? We already, we just starting this conversation and we already sad. Okay. And so that means that if every single person in this world is not going to make 6 figures, right, then can that be, and I'm gonna ask you, Pastor Will, because you are definitely you are definitely about getting that career together, okay? And so if that is true, that every man, every woman is not career focused in that way, that they're going to make 6 figures or they're going to be this or they're going to be that, then how can that be a criteria?
Okay. All right. I'm Pastor Will, right?
You are.
Um, and the title in my and the title in the name denotes I'm a pastor. But I also, a lot of my Facebook friends, they are from the streets, right? And so a lot of the stuff that pop up against my timeline is like borderline, if not ratchet stuff.
For sure,
uh,
y'all.
Especially stuff, and some of the stuff is just entertaining, whatever. I don't care. But but like the Breakfast Club stuff, right? And there was these two young ladies on the Breakfast Club, and and there was these two young ladies on the Breakfast Club, and they was arguing about what kind of man they want. And one was like, her man need to be six figures. Her man need to have the six-figure salary or whatever. And the other young lady was like, well, my man, he need to be a drug dealer because I don't want no six-figure man. I need my man to be caked up. And you know, and I started thinking like, man, if this was you Yvette saw
No, I gotta get you and Pastor Will together. I didn't even see the thing.
and I'm like, man, if I was single in this day, I wouldn't stand a chance. Because this has gotten to be some crazy standards, some crazy thing, eligibility or whatever that people have in their mind. But when I think about it, it was back in our day too, because like it was, like the fly girl in school, especially in high school, and middle school. I was in the '90s, so I was in the late '80s and the '90s and early '90s, and it was the high time for drug dealers. I mean, if you ain't got a stack of ones in your pocket, you ain't
not ones, Pastor Will.
You ain't making no money. If you ain't got a stack of ones.
I have to drink my tea on that way, y'all. Not one.
But you saw this culture where the young ladies that many of us was attracted to, they flocked to drug dealers. They flocked to money. It was hard for the quiet kids. Even after even after I got out of school, started going to college or whatever, you kind of shunned away from what you would consider the fly girls, right? Because they were dating hustlers or whatever, or drug dealers for those that don't know the word hustler.
Right.
Right. But they was dating drug dealers, and it was like, man, you couldn't stand a chance. But it set that standard, right? And so when you did meet a young lady with the crushed gold earrings and the fly hair, you already knew, like, she ain't about the struggle. She was the drug dealer.
She ain't about that life, huh?
She ain't about that life. She ain't about the struggle.
So, Pastor Will, would you say then that a lot of those concepts has come over to the church? Because it seems to me that there are a lot of believers that are also women and men, that eligibility standards is about money, is about appearance, is about status, is about position and power. It seemed like it's creeped over into the church, that dating God's way has become these worldly standards. I mean, it's what I'm seeing. It's what I'm hearing.
It didn't creep over. It always been here.
Go ahead. You said it wasn't even a creep up. It wasn't in the way. Go ahead.
It wasn't a creep up. I mean, you had those that wanted to marry a pastor.
Okay.
Bring
it in.
Or you had those that wanted to marry the praise and worship leader, or that wanted, now I don't want to say marry. They wanted to for lack. It's late, y'all. My filters are kind of gone, but they wanted to knock off the praise and worship leader.
I know it was coming. I thought you was going to say another word. I was getting worried. I was like, Lord have mercy.
It ain't that late.
Okay, excellent.
You know, and so some of those standards still apply even in church, because you feel like, well, you can be kind of wrong about it, but still feel right about it because it's happening in church at the same time.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's my opinion on it. I mean, this not biblical. This is just a little insight looking in. And so for a male, I remember the time, Pastor E, man, we just got married.
Okay.
And we went to a conference.
Okay.
We went to a conference in Baltimore.
Okay.
And Dr. Mark Sharona was preaching.
Okay, this sounds familiar.
Remember that?
Uh-huh.
And he was, I mean, he was breaking down the word, right? He was breaking down the word. I mean, and I was all in it. I was probably the loudest one in the room at the time. And I remember how the lady started looking at me like, they wanted to take me home or something, and you kind of got upset about that.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
And it's not, the Boaz only not for women, but the Boaz is for men. But everybody is looking for a Boaz.
Yeah.
Somebody to sweep them away, to take them away because they found their Boaz.
Yeah.
And I think it's really dangerous because I don't know. Go ahead, Pastor E.
Look. What happened though is that all of these women looking at Pastor Will because now he had became eligible. See, this is why this whole eligibility thing doesn't work, right? Because now you're gonna wait until somebody's married, they've been processed, right? They've gotten to a stage where they've now, have their helpmate. They've for real, they've now been enhanced by biblical marriage, right? And now everybody, they looking at Pastor Will like, oh yes, this is the answer, right? And I do think that some of the eligibility requirements, it is off. It's off because, it's an expectation that you're going to find some things that you're only going to develop together.
Yeah, that's the truth.
The truth is that there is a growth that should happen through the process of marriage that brings both people to the place they should be, that brings both people, that enhances the lives of both people, that it comes out of marriage. It should come out of marriage. Oh no, I did not want to say that, James. You want to say they have trained? No. I'm definitely not getting in trouble with my husband to say I trained him, but I have enhanced him.
No, it's definitely not a training. It's not a training. It's definitely an enhancement. I'm too stubborn to train. I was too stubborn. I still am too stubborn to train, but it definitely has been an enhancement.
Yeah. So let's get into it then. So what is the criteria then? Because we can see that the world's criteria is not the answer, right? And I hope that through this conversation, maybe it is for all our singles, especially those singles that attend our church, we hope that this is an opportunity for you to think about what your eligibility standards is, right? Because as we say on this feed all the time, looks, if somebody's 6 feet, if they have big feet, if they have, I'm just going to get all the way with it for a minute. If they have all the things that you think are perfect, something in life could happen to take one of those qualities away. That's just the way life is in real life, right? Something that you thought was your main thing can be the one thing that person may not be able to do forever, right? And so, when we think about criteria, then let's get down to it. How do I determine then, Pastor Will, if I am dateable? How do I look at what's the criteria that we then start to measure by. If it's not money, if it's not, that person's physicality, if it's not about their money and their status and their power, what are the things that we as believers should be looking for when we looking for each other?
I think one thing is, and this is probably not as spiritual, but I think one thing is, I think we said it on some other broadcast before, but I'm gonna just go ahead and say it.
Yeah.
Do I expect of myself the same thing I'm expecting from somebody else?
Hey.
Right. Are my expectations of myself the same expectations and weight that I put on somebody else? So if you got to come with this and this and that, am I coming with that and that and this?
Yeah. Are the measurements the same? So we're talking about being dateable, right? Pastor Willis bringing up an excellent point is if I am dateable, I am willing to do the things that I want somebody else to do. I'm willing to make the same personal investments that I expect that person to make, and I am willing to be at the same level that I want somebody else to be in. There is a misconception that the woman is supposed to be, the man, it has to come up here, and the woman, she get to come down here. Right? He got to bring everything to the table. She got to bring hardly nothing to the table. That's a misconception. It's a misconception that to be dateable, there has to be a commonality. There has to be something that we both expect. We're both bringing something to the table. Okay. I'm bringing my credit score like he bringing his credit score. Okay. This was real life. I'm bringing my bank account like he bringing his bank account. We're both bringing something to this table. Okay. And we learned a few weeks ago that women, we like to set the table. Okay. Men like to bring the table. We like to set the table, but it doesn't matter. We all got to still come to the table.
I still got to come to the table.
We still got to come to the table. So the question is, that first one is about, are we both bringing something to the table? That's a great, am I dateable? Right? And do I have an expectation of someone else to take care of me, of someone else to take care of me emotionally, to take care of me financially, to take care of me? Then I'm not ready to date if I'm looking for someone to do something that I can't do for myself. What you think about that, Pastor Will?
Wow. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's so true. I think that kind of really knocks you out, that if you have all these expectations of somebody else to do what you won't do for yourself. And I'm not talking about, or I'm my own man, I don't need nobody, or I'm my own woman, I don't need nobody. I'm not talking about that kind of, expectation. But I'm just saying, bringing those things to the table. If you're not willing to bring stuff to the table, then, you're not ready. You're not ready to date, to court. You're not there yet. And I understand some people have been broken dating. Certain relationships have broke you. And you're like, well, I'm never going to do that again. I'm not going that way again. And through that relationship, unfortunately, has made you undateable because your heart has hardened towards dating.
Wow.
And towards relationships.
Yeah.
And so until your heart get in a place again that, you have healthy expectations, not only of the other person, but you have healthy expectations of yourself, that you have expectations of yourself that you can actually achieve. Right. And then when you start to see those expectations, you start meeting your own expectations, and then you can ask somebody to come in and say, can you meet these things? And give them a chance to meet it, or give them a chance to say, no, I can't meet them. And, we need to, maybe go a different way.
Yeah, that's excellent. Excellent. Okay. So expectations is one. Yeah. Expectations, common expectations is number one. But I think, number two is like looking at the checklist, right? Because if we're going to start to measure now by godly standards, and we're going to get rid of, we already agreed, we're tearing up the, the money, the this, the that, the worldly expectations. We turn that up. But number two, it's also turn up the church checkbox too. Okay. So instead of looking for what you deem as godliness, okay, does he or she go to church? Do they know the Bible? Can they pray? All those checkbox things. Now, I know I'm going to get in big trouble for this one, because I'm going to just tell you right now. Look, here we go. I see already, child, the checklist. Yes, yes. So, instead of being so focused on the checklist, what you're really looking for in a partner is someone who is growing in their faith, right? Yeah. Not someone that's checking a box. Because actually, in reality, the checkbox can deceive us, right? Oh, my.
Yeah, you ain't gonna get your worship leader. Oh, you made me drop my yo-yo.
We dropped stuff in the house and everything tonight, y'all.
You can go get your worship leader. Go ahead.
But in reality, if you go get your worship leader and that person isn't growing in their faith, they have character issues. Now you got a broken worship leader. You might got a cheating worship leader. Okay.
All you got is a good singer.
Whoa, right? In reality, that it is this idea that the checklist or the check boxes is going to get you to a more godly person. And that's not a real reality.
Yo.
Pastor Will's yo. It's not a spiritual reality. What we're really looking for is someone who is growing in faith, someone who has a willingness to grow in faith through discipleship, through community involvement. That's how their character and their belief system begins to grow. So you're looking for faith, not just acts.
Yeah.
The check box. Does that person go to church? Can they worship? Those are all things. In reality, I mean, look, y'all know that stuff was definitely on my list. Y'all already know. Okay, I went to church with Pastor Will. I done told y'all the story. I was definitely looking. While we was worshiping, I was looking like this. I wanted to see what was he doing worship. But that is not the criteria. Does that make sense, Pastor Will?
I think secretly within me, I was just looking for somebody that wasn't afraid to go to church.
So you weren't looking for somebody when they got there that was showing out. I was showing out, y'all.
Yeah, you were showing out.
I was being myself, the whole self. I walked in the door. They was dancing. I was dancing. It was who I was. I couldn't help it. I could not help it.
Oh, wow. What about good actors and good actresses? Yeah. Oh, yeah. You got to fish them out early.
Yeah.
You gotta fish them out early, because if you don't fish them out, if you don't, really, and I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago about discerning, about discerning who people are, discerning who the good actresses is, because they will show themselves.
Yeah.
Eventually, but you don't want it to get too late when they do show themselves.
Yeah.
You don't want to get in an entanglement. Before you get into a situation that you can't get out of.
Yeah.
That is hard to get out of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think, the good actors and actresses, that's why you can't use the checkbox as the criteria, because when someone is growing in their faith, they're growing in their character. It is their reputation. It is about how people see that person, not just how they see themselves, right? That when we look at, or when we begin to talk about faith, then what we're observing is, we're getting to see that person's relationship with God, right? That people speak of their reputation and who they are, not just the things that they do. So yes, I think that's how we get into that actors and actresses. Yeah. Good. Good. Yeah, we got a lot going on. a lot going on.
Oh man, he had to tear up his checklist.
Yeah, because who changed up the checklist?
Brother Chip is tearing up the checklist.
Yes, amazing. We got a lot of checklist people at our church. That's him like there's a lot of checklists. Because really what the checklist does though, it does really, Pastor Will, it can get you into a space where now you get a lot of pretending too, right? Because if you looking just for like somebody to check off a box and you're communicating the checklist, right? Either with words or either in actions, you're communicating what it is you desire. Then you can get someone that then starts to live up to the checklist and not their genuine faith, not really who they are as believers.
Oh, absolutely. If they want you bad enough, then they will change who they are to make themselves fit who you want, but they only can live like that only for a certain period of time, whether it's 6 months, a year, 3 years, or 4 years. But at some point in time, the real them is going to come out because they're going to feel bottled up. And then the next thing you know, is like, boom, where were you all this time? Well, they changed themselves to fit themselves in your situation.
Absolutely. And most of the time it changes once the chase is over.
And I'll say this, and especially for a man, where you've been building up and you've been, working, and now, you are making whatever amount of money that you make. You got your apartment, your house, your car, you got everything. And you made a nice situation for somebody to come in and be involved in. But at a certain time, that person is going to stop fitting the mold who you thought they were, and they're going to, they're going to take the fake lashes off. They're going to take the makeup off. They're going to take the hair off. And then you stuck with them, and then they're going to introduce you to their cousin Pookie, and then it's going to be off the chain. So yeah,
this is it though. Yvette is saying, she doesn't want a transformer, but look, at the end of the day, a person can only be them genuine selves when you don't box them into being something else.
Yeah.
Right? Like they can only be their genuine selves if you are not making them to be something else. If you are oh, James, and they just let themselves go. My goodness. It is, someone can only be their genuine selves though if you don't start the relationship trying to make them be someone else.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's true. If you are pushing that person into being something else or someone else, then that criteria right there will often turn them into a transformer.
Yeah.
Because they have to transform themselves to be with you, to get you.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you have to or you have to transform yourself to be, be with her. I remember when I was 21, in my young 20s, in my early 20s, I met this young lady, and I think I told y'all about this, but I didn't do this. She had me, I was turning up 40s. Y'all remember what a 40 was?
Yeah.
Well, a 40 was a beer about this big. and I did something I would never drunk before. I wasn't a drinker. And but she was drinking liquor like it was nobody's business, man. And I turned that 40 up and I started throwing up because I started doing something that I was not it was just out of my character because I wanted to make myself fit into her world.
Yeah.
It totally changed who I was. The only thing I didn't do, she smoked weed. I didn't smoke weed. And so, and that's when I really realized like I can't do it. Yeah. I mean, hey James, I came from somewhere. Oh, St. Isaac. I thought it was St. Isaac, right?
Yeah.
I forgot what kind it was, but but it just, because I was trying to fit into her world, it started taking me out of who I was and
Yeah.
what God was creating and molding me to be. And, thank God that, nothing, life, like
Okay.
life altering happened throughout that time. But, I mean, it was the old English, it was the old, but yeah,
Ooh, not the OE. Come on, y'all.
yeah. So yeah, so you have to be careful. You have to not even be careful, but you have to be mindful of when things are changing out of your control. Be
Absolutely.
mindful when things are changing out of your control.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that, yeah. I think that, one of the things that really come out of, so how do we begin to make the right criteria too, is that we have to start cultivating the right, these really have to start cultivating the right kind of desires. We have to begin to um cultivate quality over quantity, quality over, and what I mean by quality is those, characteristics, those godly characteristics. We have to start cultivating things that really matter to God, and things that, may matter less to us. I mean, really, in reality, some of those characteristics that's really going to keep a man and a woman together, right? Are they honest? Are they truthful? Are they godly? Do they love God? Will they love you? Will they love you without a million conditions? Will they stay true to you? A lot of those things that you really desire goes into character, not into, a lot of the external things that we might be looking at.
True that. Yeah.
So it looks like we have a question.
Yeah. I'll pull it up here.
Okay. So when can we say someone is actually growing and not just acting? If someone can put on a show for years.
Yeah.
I don't, Contrell, I don't really know if you can fake character though. I mean, like I think you can fake different actions, but there are things about your reputation and your character that will always be shown. Let life happen to a person and you begin to see who they are, how they react. Do they, push you down the steps? I mean, I don't know, but how do they react to life happening? I think there are just certain things that happen in a person's life that you begin to see who that person is. The question is, are you looking? Right? It's like are you looking beyond kind of the things that are like actions to that character, to those heart things? That'll be some of the things. I don't really think a person can really act beyond that. I think sometimes once we get in a relationship with people, we don't look at that. We only look at the actions, but we don't really look at what's at the heart of it, like what's really happening, how that person's talking to you, what they're saying, how they treat other people, how they treat God, how they treat this. To me, that's the way that you look at growth and not at just what they do.
Yeah. I'll add to that, and I'll say, without judging, and you have to, um, ask God, don't give your heart to judge, but as you say, through years, look at their God relationship.
Yeah.
What they're, that's how you see maturity and growth, is what their God relationship is like. And not only through the good times, but also in the rough times, and the issue times, and the struggle times. What is your God relationship like? What is your God? And I have to ask myself, what is my God relationship like? You know,
And what's that consistency like?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Am I dateable based on my God relationship?
Very true. Very true.
Well, you know what? Have I been faithful enough to God to want to put myself out there to tell somebody that I'll be faithful to you? I have to ask the question sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's good. It's good. It's good. We got another question, Pastor Will.
We do.
Yeah,
Where?
yeah, but I like that 912 Yvette. Yeah, but I like that too. What James says not right before when they grow comfortable with you, they will show themselves. And I agree with that as well. I think that's
Absolutely.
a great comment to Contrail, that when people grow comfortable with you, they will begin to show themselves, but you have to be looking. That is, I think, a big dating tip is you have to be looking at who they're showing you. That whole quote about when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. That's for real, right? When somebody starts to show you who they are, believe what you're seeing, not try to make it something that is not. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Good question, man. Good comment. Good input.
Yeah, thank you. So, what are some of the godly characteristics we should have and look for? Okay. So,
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
so let me go back to what our topic is. This topic is, am I dateable?
Am I dateable? That's great.
This is so. What are the godly characters that you should look for in yourself
That's
to
it.
know that you are dateable?
Because Will, thank you for that. Because that's what we ought to bring back too, right? Because I think that what we're looking for is people to be something that we are not trying to master ourselves.
It goes back to that same expectation,
right? So what are some of the godly characteristics I should have if I'm dateable?
Yeah.
That's the question. We're going to rephrase that question for you tonight because we want to make sure we're talking in the first person, okay, talking about our own self. So what are some of the godly characteristics we should have? I think one of the godly characteristics that we should have is, as we said, making sure that I'm a person that's growing in my faith, right? Going back to the list, making sure I set the right expectation, but also making sure that I'm, my character is in line with God. My character is in line with others. That I'm treating people how I want to be treated. That I've done the work in the relationships in my life. No, I can't make them all perfect, but my learning to live with people, my learning to do life with people is going to be shown in my ability to have relationship with another person, especially somebody I commit my life to. So some of the godly characteristics that I need to be conveying is making sure that I'm committed to all of the things that we're talking about tonight as it relates to treating others the way I want to be treated and also growing in my own faith.
Yeah, and I'll add this. Do I have the ability to love?
Woo.
The godly character, one of the God is love. And do I have that characteristic to love and to forgive? do I display these characteristics, or am I still withholding love from my enemies? Am I still withholding love from friends or people? Am I still holding grudges against people or whatever? And then you are, if so, you don't have the godly characteristic to be dateable.
Yeah.
Now you're unrelationshipable.
Go ahead. You're unrelatable. Yes.
You're
unrelatable. I think, one of the things that we're talking about, as Pastor Will, you were saying that about our ability. It took me back to last week. If you did not see last week's session, you should go back about parental wounds. It took me back to our last conversation last week about parental wounds. And a lot of people still love from the place of pain. They've been hurt. And so now that pain is the place that they try to love out of. And I put love in quotes on purpose because that's not godly love. A lot of times it's self-centered love. It's me getting what I need from another person. Yeah. So I do think that it is important to make sure that I, as Pastor Woody is saying, I'm displaying that godly type of love towards another person, right? And that I've been healed from my parental wounds. It's still on the channel. Go check it out from last week. Make sure that I am in a space where I am healed enough to love, that I'm healed enough to embrace another person in their journey, right? When we got married, it wasn't just embracing, it wasn't just embracing, I needed him to embrace my journey, but I also needed to embrace his journey. That's a part of love.
It's a part of love.
So am I ready to embrace another person's journey?
That's good.
And all of the foolishness that has come with that person's journey, am I ready to embrace that? Because that's what love is about.
Amen.
Woo. Am I ready?
Woo, I'll be ready.
Am I ready? I saw some dot.
You're heavy, B. You're heavy, E. You're heavy.
Am I ready? Am I ready for that? Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good. And so, as I think, Pastor Will, the am I dateable, is really about, am I in a space to, also become unselfish? You know what happened? What happened, Will? Tell a story. You know what happened with me and you? You gonna tell it?
I'll let you start it.
Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. It's getting it is. We on a little later tonight, so me and Pastor Willie, we are real sweet tonight. But you gonna let me start the story?
I'll let you start it from your perspective.
So part of getting into being dateable and getting into a relationship with someone really is about sharing your stuff, right? And so I'll tell the story from this. They said, what happened? They let them know what happened. A part of being in a relationship with someone is being willing to share your stuff, right? I think that's like elementary school, right? You playing with your toys and they got to tell you got to keep sharing, because a child really doesn't understand that perspective, right? They want their stuff to be their stuff. So going to our story, when me and Pastor Will was dating, or when we was friends, actually, we was just friends at this time. One of the things that he shared with me is that he didn't want to share his stuff. Now, this is true, Pastor Will.
Because I just started to get my own stuff, and you wanted to come and take it.
First of all, I didn't even ask y'all for none of his stuff. Let's get into it. I had my own stuff, y'all. I had my own stuff, and for some reason, Pastor Willie had already went to, not only was I not getting his stuff, but he wasn't having no children I was going to get his stuff. I mean, he was adamant. And I was like, I don't know what's going on right now, because I haven't asked you for nothing. Okay. I'm going to tell you guys, I was confused. I was just like, I don't know what's happening, because I never asked you for anything. But the first thing, Pastor Willie was like, listen, nobody going to take my stuff. Not these kids. I'm like, my God, what is happening? We didn't even have no children, y'all. And so, I do think that getting from that place of being self-centered or selfish is important. And Tara says she's shocked, right? Because right now, Pastor Willie is such a giver. It is a shock that he was ever in a place like that.
I always been a giver. I always been a giver. I always been a giver. I always didn't mind helping. I never mind helping. I always been a giver. It's just my nature. But when it came to sharing means that I don't give on my own terms. It means I'm obligated at that point. And I did not want to be obligated at that point in my life.
right? So the struggle was about the struggle. It sounds like the struggle was about, sharing the sharing of your life. Would you say that, Pastor Will? Talking about, am I dateable? We talking about that now.
I have commitment issues, and it's not commitment issues saying that I have commitment issues like I can't keep my commitment. I'm loyal to my commitments, so I'm careful with my commitments because I know that I'm loyal to them. And so that's what I was saying about I didn't want to share. I did not want to commit all of my glory to you at that time.
Woo! All your glory. That's what you talk about now.
Yeah, all of my glory. I didn't want to commit
another phase. You didn't want to give it all to me, huh?
Not at that time.
Let me tell you about this story though. This is funny. And I see Elder Monica's comment about
we got a question from Brother Q to get the jump to.
Okay. Even givers should not share everything. But once you get married, you don't have no choice. You do share everything. Like, the reality is at some point he had to give it up because it ain't, look, what's yours is mine and what mine is yours at some look, right? And so what happened, y'all, I'm gonna tell the end of the story just so everybody can hear right quick. What happened, y'all, is me and Pastor Willie, it was about 6 months, 5 months into our dating that Pastor Willie showed up at my door with this ring.
I didn't show up with the ring. I showed up with a bucket of chicken.
A bucket of chicken.
And a
ring. Okay. And so, yes, not dating. That's exactly right. Demonic, not dating. But at some point, he got to a stage where he could see himself sharing. And I do think that that's an important part of, am I dateable? Am I at some point going to be willing to share?
Well, I think I know at that point, I realized I hit that part of my life that, it was everything lined up for me to have a family. I was in the right place to start a family. And you help jog those thoughts, but also you came to the table with something. You came to the table with a brain. You came to the table with intellect, and you came to the table with I don't want to say I don't want to say potential, but you came with the not so much of a vision, but with the vision. You came as a helpmate, to help forward whatever God was doing. It wasn't about me. It was about God. And so, bruh, a brain.
But let's get to, before we get to barbecue right quick, let's get to Elder Nichelle right quick. But you know what? This is it, right? That the unfortunate fact is, I don't know that Pastor Will knew that he was dateable.
No, I wasn't dateable.
You were so dateable. Listen, Elder Nichelle, this is a problem. This is a problem, Elder Nichelle. Let me break it down for you. There was a shift somewhere when we were dating where Pastor Willie realized that he was dateable. He was dateable.
After we started hanging, I became dateable after we started hanging out.
You became marryable. Let's make up some words tonight. You became marryable after we started dating for some time period. But you were dateable. Here we go. You were dateable because the criteria wasn't about, in reality, criteria wasn't about all of those things, the checklist things.
No, you're right. No, God did his perfect work on me at that time. I mean, he did a lot of internal work within me that only he could do. If I was dateable, it was all God's doing. It wasn't nothing about Willie. And I say that it's like, let God have his perfect work in you, to be dateable.
Yeah.
Even though you may have the appearance of dateable, but until God does his work, you're not dateable until God releases you to date. And I think when you came around, God released me to date you. He really didn't release me to date anybody else. It was weird at that point in time. He did not release me to date, and not saying that I was listening for his ear. I was like on my knees every night saying, "God, release me to date." It wasn't nothing like that, but it was, when you came, I saw the halo over your head. This is my angel.
So give me some of that. Give me some of that Pastor Will tonight. No, but seriously, I do think that some people don't know that they are dateable. And God does reveal over time as you build friendships with people. Sometimes it becomes apparent over that building of friendship, over that sharing and faith with one another. That person realizes, oh, actually, this is something that God's really leading me into or pushing me into. Absolutely. So being dateable really is about, it's the godly side of this that we're trying to pull out of you.
Yeah.
Right. It's the godly side of this that we're really trying to pull out because we're talking about dating God's way. So was Pastor Will dateable? Absolutely. But he was dateable because, God was in it. It wasn't just him and me. We had a partner in it with us.
You had to.
Boom.
Yeah. So what if you share your story with that person and that person continue to take you back down the same path you gone down, right? And we touched this before. I touched it before about familiar spirits have a way of finding familiarity, right? Ooh. And so they find a way, like I always say, a different person but the same spirit, right? And that this spirit shows up. They have different high, in the man's case, they change their shoes, they have different shoes, they have different head, different eyes, but it's that same spirit that's behind them that's attracted to you, right? And so and Pastor, you're gonna say something different, I'm sure, but I'll say that our prayer starts with, Lord, what is it that's in me that keeps attracting these same type of people, and whatever it is, I rebuke that off my life, because that's not what you want for my life.
Yeah, I'll give it as a story, Brother Q, we talked about this in our dating story before. I definitely I came to our relationship with my own story for sure. And one of the things that I really one of the conversations that I had to have with Pastor Will was about, can he deal with my story? Right. And not can he deal with it and like, could he live with it, but can he allow us to live past it? Because I didn't want to live there anymore. And I think that's a great conversation to have with someone when you are looking to date, when you are looking to court, when you are looking to build a friendship that could become something more. It's a good conversation to have of, look, I lived there. I no longer live there. Can we agree and commit to moving past what was my story? Because that was my story. But now I have a new story. I am a new person. And so I do think that, he had to make that commitment to me because I told him my story going to come, and it did. It came back. So I told him this part of my story is going to come back, and it did. And we persevered through it because we had talked about it. Right. And so it did not affect our future or our present at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good conversation to have.
Did we answer this one from Nichelle?
Yeah, I answered that one from Nichelle.
Okay.
Yeah, I answered that one from Nichelle. She said, wait, one of y'all sound like y'all wasn't dateable. I talked about that.
So can we move past my old story?
Yeah, that was a comment I just made. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
can we?
awesome. So yeah, so Pastor E, our time is up.
Oh wow, tonight went super fast. Our time is up. All right, let's do a quick recap. So first thing we talked about tonight, am I dateable? Am I willing to put the same expectations on myself that I'm putting on the person that I'm looking for, that I desire? Number 2, can I tick up the checklist? Tick up the check boxes of, do they go to church? Do they pray? Do they this, that, or whatever? All those things may be great things to find, but the real question is does this person have faith? Are they growing in faith? Number 3, we talked about tonight how a part of what we're looking at is what we're looking for is character. We're looking at quality, not just quantity, not just things that we can count on our fingers. And lastly, we talked about cultivating the right desires. Are you cultivating the right godly characteristics of love? Are you willing to love? And are you willing to receive love from somebody else? Am I dateable? I hope this was helpful for you guys tonight as you continue in your dating journey. And some of you, as you continue in your marriage journey, sometimes going back and thinking about perspective shifters will help you even with the person that you are in love with, married to now. It will help to shift some things in how you look at the relationship. So I hope tonight was helpful. Am I dateable?
Am I dateable? Awesome. So thank y'all for joining, man. I appreciate you guys. If you have any questions after the show, you can feel free to message us, hit us up at Dating God's Way, or whatever, man. So we'll see you next week, next Tuesday night.
To all our new viewers, go check out some of our videos. Let us know what you think, some of our other topics.
Hey, man. Thank you, Elder Monty.
Yes. Good to see you, James.
Good to see you, James.
Love you guys.
Love you guys.